Okay, Mark, today we have a special session as we welcome you back to the table and we start to learn about your new character. Your character of Galavan has experienced something truly unique with the Oris, and now we're going to bring in your new character, and we decided to make it live while also generating other things live in our session as we figure out our new addition to the current ongoing Fable. So go ahead, we're gonna roll your stats, 3d6 down the line. I think you already have a name picked out.
I do.
An ancestry and class, I believe. What do you, share the knowns. What do we know?
The name of the character is gonna be Arquria, like named Quri. Ancestry, haven't figured that out yet. Class will definitely be fighter. So let's see, and it's going to be straight assigned.
3d6 down the line, yeah. So your first strength roll is an 8, and this is a fighter, right?
This is, yeah,
nice.
Well, no wonder she failed out of academy. Oh god.
See, as we learn about her through our rolls, another 8 for dexterity.
Okay, and I can start to see why she wasn't picked up by the main guard. Okay.
Okay, 12 constitution.
At least she's hardy. No wonder she got past training. Okay, so reasonably intelligent.
What's the thing? If none of your stats are 14 or higher, you may re-roll a new set of 6 numbers.
Apparently wise for being weak.
It's down to charisma. What do you have? 12 constitution, 11... 14 wisdom, nice, and a 14 charisma.
No, that's 16 charisma.
16. Oh, I read that wrong. Okay, wow. All right, so your bottom half is better than your top half, more or less.
I was gonna say there are many people who would say that about me.
Okay, so you are going with fighter.
Yep. So I mean that was the plan for. I mean, I could also go for a different character set altogether, because I did have an idea for a lead priestess as well, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is truer to... What's your guidance here?
I am of the firm directive in this day and age of 3d6 down the line, and I even go full random everything. You've had a little bit of a vision with this character, and you're ongoing to 14th domain and integrated stories and characters, which I'm all for and I support, but I think having a little bit of a forced hand is just the nature of the game, and I like that. I want more of that, so you have to work through your adversity, I guess.
I figure as much. This is going to be really interesting in terms of her character development. It explains a lot that I had running around in the back anyways. And hopefully this is something that she'll find herself willing and capable of struggling against. So this is going to make for fantastic storytelling, at least so far as I've said.
And we're going to determine the level. I believe the highest level character is 4.
That's correct, yes.
And what did we say? It's going to be, it could be up to a 4th level character, but no lower than 2.
That's fine by me.
So we're gonna roll a d4, and she is a 2nd level character.
Okay, very good. All right. So let's try to fill out a few of these things. Deity, Gade, nominally. Let's see. Background, although trained as a...
What level was Galavan?
Galavan, I believe, was a 4.
He was a 4th level character, okay.
Yes. He's either a 3 or 4.
Sure, yeah.
Actually, do I still have my... Let's see. He was a 3.
He was 3rd level, okay. And we're gonna go with... We don't know the ancestry yet.
I'm willing to leave that to the dice.
To the dice? I think we can grab that book there. I think we got random
Characters.
Ancestry stuff here. And the quick start.
Is there a friend? I don't see a table for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think there's a quick start generation somewhere in the back or in the front where it's just talking about, oh, right there on the back of the book.
Oh, hey, there we go. Okay. So let's see.
She
here.
could be a goblin.
D12, if you would, Maestro.
There you go.
Thank you much. 11, half orc.
Look at, I love your reaction.
You know, this is starting to make so much sense.
Okay.
Everything here is starting
See,
to
the
make
beauty of the
so
dice,
much
guiding
sense.
your vision deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay, so your half orc, I believe, gets a bonus to melee damage.
Okay.
As I start flipping through
Oh,
the book.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, common and orcish, mighty. You have a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls with melee weapons. So she's a beast of a fighter despite her 8 strength and 8 dexterity. So it's kind of offset in that way. She's average now.
Okay. This makes a lot of sense. This
Right.
makes so much sense.
That's awesome.
Okay. So +1 to attack and damage. Let's see. Where else do we go?
Fighter talent. So we're gonna roll your talent now.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have proficiency with all weapons. You have armor and shields. Proficiency with all armor and shields. Hit points. We're gonna roll a D8. And you're gonna add your Constitution modifier for the first level.
Okay, very good.
3 + 1 is 4. Great. And you're gonna roll it again for second level.
Okay.
8. Okay. Wow. So you put it in that black box there, or however you want.
Oh, I see what you're. Didn't even notice.
And now your gear slots are you're gonna add your Constitution modifier if positive to your gear slots, which is going to
Okay,
either be
yep.
10 or your strength score. So you have 11 gear slots with a strength of 8.
Okay, makes sense.
And so that's Holler for you. Weapon Mastery. Choose one type of weapon, such as long swords. You gain +1 to attack and damage with that weapon type. In addition, add half your level to these rolls, round down.
Okay. So, I'll take longsword.
Okay, so longsword, you'll have +2 to attack and damage.
On top of the +1.
Correct.
Okay.
And then grit. Grit is choose strength or dexterity. You have advantage on checks of that type to overcome an opposing force, such as kicking open a stuck door, strength, or slipping free of rusty chains, dexterity. So you have grit strength or grit dexterity.
Grit strength.
Grit strength.
Okay.
Alignment.
That one I'm perfectly willing to.
What is it, a D4 over there?
D6.
D6, yeah.
Interesting. 1 to 3 lawful, 4 to 5 neutral, 6 chaotic. That's an interesting skill.
Yeah, it leans more towards the lawful.
Oh, go figure. She is lawful.
She's lawful.
Okay.
So that means... All right, so you speak Common and Orcish.
Yep.
We're gonna roll a D4 just to give you these starting gears. 2 items, and you're gonna start with, amongst other things, a crowbar and flint and steel. You could also buy some stuff as well too, which we're gonna do as well. Basic gear slots. I want to actually get to... Oh, here's a random character right in here. Okay, so we got the gear. Well, I want to roll, what's your background? Titles. So your lawful title, you are a squire. Squire Arquria. D. Okay, we can roll your background here. Roll the big D20.
Okay.
See what her background is. 18. Scholar. You know.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Hey, the dice abide, I guess. Scholar, you know much about ancient history and lore.
That's brilliant. That fits right into the vision that I had for Arquria, so this is perfect.
So tell us about her.
So, Arquria, she is a less than successful member of the graduating class of the Laferriere Academy. So, of those training for martial duty, for swordsmen and archers and all that kind of stuff, she longed for the taste of battle. She longed to have skills that would astound and amaze anyone that could carry a sword in the hand. And she graduated, and she failed to parlay the skills that she picked up into a career. So she'd gone and applied to mercenaries and to guards' houses and to anywhere that would require a little bit of muscle. And she was turned down again and again and again, finding her to be, frankly, a rather unimpressive candidate. And then she came across the Temple of Qi that was looking for a combat and security specialist. And they saw an opportunity to help somebody in need. She saw an opportunity to possibly advance her skills and make a decent billet for herself. And here she is. So not what she foresaw for herself, but she's here on the island with a bunch of priests, and she's trying to make the best of it.
So she hasn't done the best she could do, but she's here to make the most of what she has in front of her.
Oh, I wouldn't argue that she hasn't done the best that she could do.
She doesn't seem like top tier to the rest of the
She's by no means
mission beyond the 214th.
No. She is by no means an extraordinary soldier. She is nominally related to the faith. Mm-hmm. She is related by way of being a service provider to the people who serve others.
Okay.
So is she particularly identified with Guide? Personally, no, but I mean, she wears the material that they give her. She's dressed similar to a priest, but she has a sword. Mm-hmm. So she represents the 214th. She represents Guide, even if she doesn't take those representations particularly seriously.
Okay. I like that. And I've also been rolling up some treasure for her. She's got this potion, a small stone vial, which has a soft blue glowing liquid within it. And it allows her movement to increase to double near for 5 rounds.
Interesting, okay.
She's got a speed thing. There's also this chainmail here with these strange moving carvings all over them. It's a +0 chainmail. It's not magical and bonus, but it has the ability to, once per day, absorb the first tier, absorb one tier 1 or tier 2 spell targeting the wearer. And we'll get you some cards for this stuff too.
Okay.
But that's pretty cool.
Is that something, am I allowed to determine whether that was acquired by her in any specific way?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we're just as a 2nd level character, and we'll probably make you halfway to 3rd as far as experience is concerned.
Very good.
So I think you need 20 experience points to get to level 3, so you're at 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so she seems to have her bit about her in terms of a little bit of some treasure, some experience. You know, maybe this thing has saved her in the past at some point. So she has this armor that has the ability to absorb tier 1 or tier 2 spells.
Well, I've heard that the instructors over at the Viola Academy are particularly anti-magic, so it only makes sense that this is a remainder of her academy days.
Would this be something normally issued, or is this a truly special thing to have?
I would not go so far as to say it was normally issued, but I would say that it's an aspirational piece that would be available for purchase.
It would be normally available? I missed that. Did you say it is or it isn't?
It isn't. I wouldn't say they handed it out. I would say that,
Sure.
This is something that she worked hard to acquire at the advice of her instructors.
Okay, I like that. So it's, I imagine the old world being wrought with sort of various arcane advancements, but it's very twisted and perverse in that it's like overused. So I would imagine these things being very not in demand, but like of great value, because things could be warded or utilized in assaults or robberies or whatever nefarious activities might be happening. So to have something that can absorb these things would be quite valuable.
That makes sense, and because of the nefarious uses of the magics, it's made folks like Arquria, folks like her instructors, very wary of it. And that's why they put the emphasis on getting them this gear, if at all possible. And she made it a point to do so.
So what is the driving perspective? And this is chainmail too, by the way, for as far as armor class is concerned, which...
let's see. Chainmail, which...
I'm just wondering what the driving force, whether personally or otherwise, is for Arquria and the 214th for wanting to come out here. I know Galavan seemed to bring up the notion of fertile ground, but I'm wondering if that's shared amongst her as well.
Okay. So, let me see what we talk. So, in terms of their...
Basic chainmail is 12. Is that what it is?
Basic chainmail appears to be 13 plus dex mod, which...
Oh, okay, right. So you're dropped down because of your dexterity, yeah.
Correct, yes. In terms of fertile ground, Arquria doesn't really understand the thing. So, in terms of fertile ground, she's not really looking to proselytize. That's not her mission. She knows that she is supporting the mission of the 214th, which is to which is to sow fertile ground. Her personal mission is to protect the sowers of the fertile ground. So she doesn't see herself as super tied to the faith identity. However, her superiors are very quietly hoping that maybe that'll rub off.
Yeah, I love that. It's the notion of, because in my mind, you Galavan obviously was a priest, so it was very much the faith was the forefront. But now you have a faith-related character in this mission. We're calling it the 214th, the mission.
Correct.
So it is a faith-based character, but it is not a priest. So it's not faith first, which is it's always interesting to me.
And that was kind of by design, because I loved getting the opportunity to kind of play through, especially Galavan and his kind of naive perspective on faith, and him wanting to kind of pursue this without having been mired down by the dogma or the doctrine. So I thought that it was a cool opportunity, and we got to kind of play with some of the flaws that comes with having that perspective.
Right.
And now, inadvertently, I'm bringing a character who will play with the flaws of someone who doesn't really investigate their faith and kind of takes it a little bit for granted what little she has. So it wasn't my intent to kind of do a little bit of an exploration there, but I think it's rather convenient that because of the 214, because of them being a religious mission, we get to have things like that.
Sure.
And so that being said, I'm like, it's given me a few ideas for other folks who might be waiting in the wings as well, in addition to previously a courier, but now she's out.
And what is her relationship with Galavan?
So with Arquiria's relationship to Galavan, strictly professional. She sees him almost as a ward, if you will. One of those needing protecting. She takes her she takes her directives from the lead priestess, who guides prayers and instructs and provides direction for the 214th. So that essentially her supervisor. Galavan essentially someone she has to make sure doesn't wander himself off a cliff and, you know, I hate to say it, but almost like a liability. Galavan's almost a liability because she doesn't understand it. She doesn't understand why he's going out into all these ridiculous situations and endangering himself. There's plenty of, you know, conversion that can go on around. Why don't you go do that? But no, Galavan was of course drawn to help people in the most extreme circumstances, and quite reluctantly, she allowed him outside of the sphere of her overwatch of her protection. And now that he hasn't come back for a number of days, this is starting to concern her.
A number of days? In what sense? It's nice that you ended it that way, because I'm thinking this whole time as you're talking that he never came, but he's been gone for a couple of days in her mind.
She still, because of how vigilant and how seriously she takes her duties, because again, despite having some disdain for it not being a strictly martial position, you know, having to be martial through the lens of faith, she does take it very seriously. She is a decent administrator who keeps track of things very, very carefully. And so it's not something that's left her mind, even though a lot of folks around her seem to think otherwise. Her superiors are completely unaware, and she's like, no, he was on the rolls. I've been checking his name off of the rolls every single day for the past several months. What are you talking about? Of course he's on the rolls. And she goes to look, and he's not on the rolls. He's not on the rolls.
Yeah, so she's so dedicated to the task at hand that it's like burned into her mind, despite the choice to never want to come here, be twisted by the Horus.
Correct.
Okay.
So, not specifically here. The duty and the credential, she's chasing those hard. She's chasing the ability of, when I get back, I will have some experience. I can parlay this into a real martial experience.
Right.
But until then, I'm going to do what I'm told. I'm going to buckle down, and maybe, just maybe, when I come home, I'll be recognized for the warrior that I spent all this time training to be.
By doing the task proficiently and deftly.
In this particular context, yes.
Yeah, taking care of Galavan.
Taking care of Galavan and the other members of the 214.
Sure. Okay, fine. So now the burning question I have for you is the Pergola of Whispered Prayers. Tell me about it. Tell me her relation. Describe.
The shrine.
Yeah, the Shrine of Whispered Prayer. Yeah, we called it the Pergola.
The pergola was the structure.
Yeah, right, but it kept being called the Pergola. So the Shrine of Whispered Prayers. Tell me about it. Describe Arquria at this shrine. How does she engage it? What's her relationship with it? Because it was a Galavan effort, correct?
It was
Tell me about
Galavan's effort. Her duties primarily protecting. So a lot of it is she does the vetting of the people who approach the Shrine of Whispered Prayers.
But describe it to me. Tell me her, like a moment, a day in the life of her at the shrine.
So, you know, I've talked before about Galavan being the person to do the setup. She was doing that in the background. Occasionally, Galavan would have issues trying to get the kegs up and trying to lighten them up for service, and she would go and give him a hand. And then after everything was open for the day, she'd have a handful of prayers to recite. Not that she particularly cared for them, but that she was ordered to do them by the lead priestess. So she'd complete those prayers. She'd, descend to the lower steps of the pergola, right by the cliff, and then she would supervise those who were attending to the shrine, both the members of the 214th and anyone who approached looking for other things.
So describe her. What does she look like?
So I would describe her as shorter in stature, somewhere around 5 foot. Very athletic in build. Honestly, some might describe her as slight. You would think maybe better suited to a library or to a university rather than bearing a weapon. But she has one. She has one hung on her hip, honestly surprisingly big for her. But that being said, she carries herself with a demeanor of gruffness, a demeanor of gruffness, toughness, and maybe a little bit of professionalism. She doesn't joke. She doesn't have a sense of, she doesn't betray a sense of levity or of joy or anything that doesn't tell anybody that she will protect what she is ordered to protect.
She's got a bit of a force of personality too, with the charisma of 16. She's a half-orc as well too, so there's an interesting lineage that we could always try to unravel in terms of how it were to exist and what sort of family ties or backgrounds she has to orcs or whatever the other half is, presumably human, if such a thing is to be determined, or it could be some other species as well too, or some other ancestry. But a stout half-orc, athletic, but still having this personality with a 16 charisma to have this force emanate a presence. Okay. I also wanted to roll on this something happens in the ruins of Arventa to sort of give us an insight. Pull out that other character or ally character.
Of course.
We're gonna call this person Midna. And write the name right up here. So this is like a knight and maybe a person at arms, a woman at arms that she's training, your side companion, and I would imagine a scene takes place with Arquria and Midna as we determine 74. You are amongst ruins, perhaps searching within the fallen city of Arventa, or the fallen ruins that have been discovered, when you are searching amongst the blasted out, dilapidated, walled structure that you guys have been searching for at some time, and your light, as you carry your torch around, seems to disturb some bats in the air that flutter about, and this large complex that you're in seems to echo with like the large wing flutters of these bats that shuffle about. And this is some spots away from your pergola. I keep calling it that, even though it's a shrine. What?
Well, I mean, the structure is the pergola, but the official...
Okay, yeah, the official name is the shrine, but it is this pergola.
It is a pergola,
Yeah. Excellent. And I suppose she would be looking about these ruins. What do you think she's here for?
So, knowing Arquria and finding her new friend Midna, she's probably looking for potentially old scraps of weapons. She's noticed that the technology here on the island is very unique, and she feels like there may be something hiding out in the ruins that might be, particularly suited to a martial class. And having found another martial hanging out, probably outside of the auspices of the 214, they feel a little bit adventurous and inclined to find something that would help them better represent themselves as warriors.
Okay, that makes sense. And there are these two giant bats that are disturbed by your light. And with your charisma modifier, we will determine their reaction, which you have a +3 to, which is 11. So these bats, disturbed by your light, are quite curious, in fact. They're large, like the wingspan, I would imagine, of one of these things is at least the size of you two combined, Midna and Arquria. You're talking like a 10-foot tall wingspan for these giant bats, these two giant bats within this large, blasted out ruins. You know, who knows what the structure would have been, but the doorway, you know, is huge. Like the frame that what's left inside this door frame could hold 6 of you guys across. And the bats just make their home here, fluttering about inside these ruins. And they're curious. You can tell that they're curious.
So she looks to Midna, and she says, did you imagine that this is what we would be finding today? Pets?
Midna, I imagine, is, she's got red hair for some reason, and her tied in a tight bun. She's has a simple wooden shield and a very small short sword, like squire-esque. That is your title, but you can tell that this is a position beneath her. And Midna's just like, I didn't know what I was gonna get into other than securing around our shrine. This is a place that I couldn't have imagined hosting something this large. We've seen nothing but huge buildings, huge structures, and now huge bats. But they're very much in our vicinity, and I do not think we should tread lightly. Let's see how close they are, too. They are they're nearby.
Where's your sense of adventure, Midna? Let me see if I can pull something from the priests. Maybe some of their language would be helpful in this situation. In common, she asks the bats, does peace go with you?
You hear like some cheering. They seem to trying to communicate, but they're almost like, they seem to be in a hunting position where they're fluttering around, seeing the light, and then disappearing back. Midna's holding the torch.
She'll try an orcish then. Again, does peace go with you?
And it kind of lands as the chittering stops, and they kind of flutter back onto what looks to be a statue, but it has no arms or legs. It's just like a leg. It has no arms or head. It's just a leg that these things perch onto, and they're huge. They fill up what would have been a torso if it was still intact. The statues themselves look, the bats are dwarfed by the statue's legs. That's how big these statues are.
Interesting. So it's a statue of some human figure.
Mm-hmm. That's just like the calf.
Oh, okay.
That's all that's left. And they just stop, and they're curiously just trying their best to chirp. But they understand you. In Orcish.
Would I be able to imply a field ration or two?
Yeah.
All right. I continue in Orcish. If I'm walking, then I imagine the flying must make... if I'm walking and hungry, I imagine the flying must make you even hungrier. Pulls out a ration and splits that for the two of them.
As you start feeding them, you can see that their big, giant, leathery wings kind of like curl in on one another, on themselves as they like fold in, accepting your ration, and they're just like calmed by it. But you can see that they have like two beady, like what seem to be eyes, but they're obviously like blind like bats. But they're just these orbs that just like move. They're completely black orbs, but the way they sheen and shimmer off the light, they just reflect off down and further into this blown out monastery.
So I know that it's rough living here, isn't it? Looking for food and trying to find a way to make a living around here. Maybe you could help me? Help me find something like this. She pulls out her sword, and presents it pummel first. Have you seen anything like this?
You see that the wings kind of like unfurl, and you can see that they're like flutter over it. One of them is like standing behind it all, you know, kind of like chirping a little bit, but just surveying the situation, while the one that you fed, you broke it between them, but the first one is just only taking it. It just kind of like cocks its head, its big hairy head, and it just kind of looks up at you. If you could, you know, gauge its face, its wings just kind of unfold, and it's just very curious by you all. And it has these little claws, like these pincer-like nails that just clench over the giant calf of the statue, and it just crunches and squeezes, chipping more of the statue. It seems almost like agitated by what you've shown it, as it's like sniffing it or like patting it down.
Interesting. Well, you don't need to be afraid. I can put this away. I go and I sheath my sword. They seem to relax after.
Yeah, slightly. And Midna's, you know, holding the torch, like, you're very brave getting close to those things. We've only seen nothing but trouble in these areas. And I don't know if it's protecting something, but it looks like these guys are in a hunting formation, and I don't know what they're hunting. Hopefully not us.
If they were hunting us, they would have eaten us by now.
Perhaps, unless they're waiting for us to drop our guard. And she like lifts her shield up.
And you're saying that our guard has been up the entire time?
You're giving them your sword. Is that proper training? Is that what I should be doing to a potential hostile? I'm following you.
Potential hostile? I think we've seen nothing hostile with the sword, at least not yet.
Look at the size of those things, and she like...
Does size imply hostility?
These things could be living off of blood, and they probably need a whole body of one of ours to sustain themselves. We don't know. She's holding up her shield and just...
Midna, they're living off the blood that has left your head.
She bows her head. Quri, I'm sorry.
Right about now, they're the only friends we have in this environment, and while they are our friends, we will treat them as such. Until they are shown up to be, we will be ready. But while we're here, we need all the friends we can get.
Well, let's see what they do. They seem to be responding to your orcish, and they're willing enough to take our ration. So if they're hungry, we certainly quelled that for a while.
So, again, have you seen anything like that? I can take it off your hands. I can remove it from sight so it never bothers you again.
You saying that to Midna?
Saying that to the bats.
To the bat, yeah. And you can see that they're sensing something as you're talking.
Where does their attention get drawn?
Deeper into the darkness.
Okay. Midna, are you ready for this? I think we have some risky propositions ahead of us.
I'm ready to go wherever you lead.
Forward into the darkness.
She picks up her shield, she holds the torch. Shall I go first?
I've set the orders, I will go first.
I will light the way.
All right, into the darkness then.
And as you start heading deeper into this chamber, you can see that, yeah, there's like the other leg of this statue. There's fallen rubble, like pieces of this statue have just crumbled and deteriorated within this giant, large, dark complex. You know, rooms off to the sides, but like if the doorway is 6 people wide, these, you know, you would think a doorway would just be the edge of a wall before you get to the other doorway. And you hear like, if the bats were chittering, it sounds like squeaky rubber, oily rubber in the darkness ahead, like.
Interesting.
And it's coming in the air and fluttering around as well.
It's fluttering around as well.
Mm-hmm.
Midna, can you get some light on that? That's something to be aware of.
And as she starts fluttering around the light, you can see this dark shade like like black ink within the darkness itself is fluttering and flying around, where this squeaky, oily sound is coming from.
Interesting. I try again in Orcish. Does peace go with you?
You don't get a response.
And again in common.
It kind of like the fluttering shadow like straightens itself out, but it's still fluttering in the air. It seems to be responsive to common.
Interesting.
And it's super attentive. It's paying attention to you guys, but it's like this giant squid, this giant fluttering shadow of darkness within the black air of the establishment you're in.
You must be the keeper of this place. Well then. We're looking for weaponry. Looking for something that will help us protect others a little bit better. Would you be able to guide us?
And as like you are as you bring it your attention and like start engaging this fluttering darkness, it has this sense of hostility towards the bats. It's like you can see these little black tendrils at the end of its shadows just start, and it looks like it's trying to draw the bats into it.
Oh, interesting. Midna, you know how I said we need all the friends we can get.
I have heard you say that many a time, yes. And now we're looking into the mouth of some dark creature within the bowels of some deep, dark building that was once inhabited by who knows what. I'm ready for you to take the next step.
Well, logically, I think that 2 friends are more than 1. So let's go ahead and help our bad friends, yes?
If you say so,
She draws her sword. All right, and she levies her attack.
Against the
shade.
The shade? Okay.
Okay, so I forgot what the long sword does. If we do in fact do damage, that long sword is 1d8. Okay, that'll be 17.
So what are you doing? Describe it.
So my longsword rings out as I draw it in this monastery. Rings out against the shattered walls. And I go, and it's fluttering above us.
Mm-hmm.
I plunge it directly up.
Yeah, so you shove it up and it lands a hit. Go ahead, roll for damage.
Okay, very good. All right, 10.
So you can just hear as like this black oily liquid just drips down over your sword, and this thing just plops out into the darkness, and you can see that it's shuddering and twitching, but then just completely rolls flat, and it looks like a black carpet of just this hairy, fuzzy, blackened material.
Interesting. I go back out to check on the bats then.
Okay, roll initiative.
Interesting. Okay.
What'd you get?
6.
Okay, this thing got higher than that. You can see deeper in the darkness, beyond your pool of light, there is another one of these dark mantles that all of a sudden just. You can hear like the oily, squeaking sound, and the Midna's torch just completely gets enveloped by darkness as the torch goes out completely, and you're just standing in the middle of this darkness.
Interesting.
So you can hear these like things shrieking about.
My flying mammal friends, if ever there was a time to come about, now would be the time. Who moves for?
Now you guys are up. All right, Midna, Quri? The torch is out? Everything's gonna be rolled at disadvantage now that you're in the darkness. Until the light is regained.
Midna, how do we fix things when we don't know what to do?
We take a deep breath, focus our attention on our tools, and sharpen our wits.
It's a long, firm way of saying to stab things, but I'll take that answer. Sure, let's go with that. Okay.
Nice, nat 20, all right.
All right, and then
disadvantage, yeah, oh, that stinks.
Oh. All right, so, yeah, that's gonna be, 9.
So you're swiping around in darkness and you're not making contact with anything.
Okay, very well. Who's next on the order?
So Midna's trying her best to reestablish the light.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said to roll for Midna. That was my bad.
Midna's stabbing.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
So then what are you doing? You guys gonna go? Then we're gonna go.
Okay, then.
So you guys acting as a unit.
I guess for flavor, I'll take the torch and I'll try to relight.
Okay. So you're making that at disadvantage. You're gonna have to rummage through your stuff to get to the flint and steel.
Sounds good. All right.
So make a dex check to see if you can get out your flint and steel.
13. 6.
See, all right, it's gonna take longer than you expect to get to that stuff.
Very good.
So you're rummaging around and you can just hear things fluttering around in the darkness as the creatures, you hear multiple fluttering, whether it's hostile or otherwise, and these creatures are gonna swoop down and try their best to take a bite out of Midna. They have advantage in the darkness. 19 to hit.
That hits.
It's gonna deal 2 damage.
Okay.
As this thing just, and you hear Midna, this thing's biting into me! She's doing her best to swing around. What is she using? Her sword?
She is using her bastard sword, yes.
Yeah, so she's in the darkness, swiping around. You can also hear the creatures that you have fed fly in to do their best to make an attack against these dark mantles. As they swoop around, they're gonna get +2 to this. One of them hits with a giant shriek, and you hear screaming in the darkness for 3 damage, chomping away at these things. Seems like there's this aerial combat fluttering and flying above you.
Oh, goodness. All right. So,
All right. They took a bite. You're up. You guys are up.
on my turn, Arquria is going to attempt to relight again, so... Alright, so that's 15.
You're gonna need a 12 or higher.
9. Alright, so that's going to fail.
All right, so you're rummaging around and you find the flint and steel, so you'll be able to light it next turn.
Okay, very good. So for Midna, she again responds by...
Swiping around in the darkness. She doesn't know what's there. These things are engaged. You assume the bats are attacking these dark mantles.
Okay. She does... Oh. So there's a chance that she might not hit the dark mantles. Alright. Midna, I found the torch. Can you light it, please?
You give me the tools and I'll sharpen them as best I can.
Hand them to Midna to attempt the lighting then.
Okay.
Right. 10. And 13.
So 10. So she's fumbling, or she got the tools in her hands. She doesn't light them.
Okay. Fair enough.
So you guys will light this next turn, depending. I guess she will if you want her to.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I've got nothing else to do.
So you hear fluttering and squirming and screaming, screeching. It's a horrible mix of chittering from the bats and the oily squeaking from these dark mantles as they are just in aerial combat, just attacking one another. And these things, let's see, is this dark mantle gonna get a bite off? And it does for 2 damage to the bat, which is not enough to really make any bit of a difference. And you see this thing flutter and fly away.
The dark mantle or the bat?
The dark mantle. Just as you guys light your torch, it extinguishes on. You can just see these two bats just fluttering about with their giant wings, and one just has like a horrible bite taken out of it.
Interesting.
As these things are just fluttering around.
In Orcish, I'll speak to them. We owe you a debt. We owe you a debt.
And it's like, and it seems to like continue the hunting formation as they like pair up in such a staggered position as they start going deeper into the chamber.
Do they follow us, or do they kind of lead on ahead of us?
They look like they're leading you on.
I'll follow the bats. I'll follow our friends.
Okay, yeah. So you start following deeper and deeper into this chamber, and you can see, another statue crumbling, pieces of a giant door that have fallen down, timbers that just make this almost like staggered. I wouldn't say it's a bridge, but it's like covering holes that have just fallen open into this giant complex, leading down into like a basement of sorts that is completely blasted out. And you can just get this feeling like, if we were to cross this, we could be entering like a nest or a chamber on the other side. And if these things were to disappear, we'd be trapped over there.
Interesting. The things that disappearing being
the bridge, the timbered bridge.
Do I have anything that would secure any of that? No, I guess there's nothing really. So.
And Midna's, she has the torch lit again, and she backs her sword sheath, and you want to go deeper in? These bats, they're helping us. I don't know if these guys are leading us further into a trap or what, but I'm just trying to take it from our perspective. And Quri, I'll follow you to the end. And I'm really trying to grit my teeth here. I don't know how you managed to stay so calm.
Midna, that was probably one of the first things I had to learn while I was in Violor. The first thing I had to learn was laying aside my fears, having to work through them, because the moment you let the fear overtake your decision making is the moment you lose the fight, regardless of what happens, because that's when it stays with you. That's what happened to poor Galavan, after all.
Galavan? That name, I've only heard about him. Tell me more.
I was gonna say, the soldier turned priest. Didn't figure that the sword was good enough for him anymore. And so he went off adventuring with some folks outside the 214th. I couldn't tell you who they are. But after that, he came back changed. He had wild stories of.
Did he fight bats in the darkness, or these?
Worse. Large Minotaur statues turned life.
Some other people had encounters like that around here. It certainly wasn't anyone in the 214th.
Well, no, I have to imagine that he was part of that, even if they weren't recalling him. He had some very vivid stories, to say the least.
I don't know if you're dreaming or telling me a tall tale, but you're creeping me out in this dark environment. I feel.
My point being, find a way to keep your wits, or your wits will have you.
She like steals herself and like grits the shield and holds the torch a little bit brighter. If you're saying we're going across these fallen timbers to get into that room to help our bat friends, I will follow you to the best of my ability. But we know what could happen to this torch if we find more of those oily squeakers.
We know what could happen. We do not know what will happen. And let's not let that control us. Forward.
Lead on.
They move forward across the timbers to the next opening.
Yeah, so it's like a flat chamber that seems to have half of its room fallen, collapsed into the basement, beneath you, it just goes on, more than the torchlight actually shows. And within this chamber, there's like a recessed pool of sorts, and the water that's in is completely stagnant. It would look like solid if it wasn't for the light that just like shimmers off of it, but it's completely still, and it goes on for quite a long length of it, like a pool or like a bathtub, but the size is enormous.
Are there markings? Are there anything that hints as to what the pool may be used for?
Yeah. There's actually, it's actually like symbols or hieroglyphs that clearly show that it's like a purifying pool, but for these strange, they look like glyphs or like pendants or coins or some sort of handheld objects with various shapes and sizes with various depictions on them, whether it's monetary or other meanings.
Interesting.
Let's see. The wandering. Okay, no encounter.
All right. I take my sword and I dip it in the pool.
What do you expect to happen?
She doesn't. She doesn't expect anything to happen. She expects that she will have possession of a wet sword by the end of it. But she is very interested to see if anything does.
Let's see. Does something happen? We're going to Oracle die this one. Yes, but.
Okay. So, can I dictate what does happen?
Go for it, yeah.
Right. So, yes. The sword begins to glow a gleaming ruby red. However, she's unable to hang on to it. It burns. It burns with the intensity of a torch. And she drops it in the water.
As it falls into the water, you can just hear like the whole pool of water starts bubbling. Steam starts steaming out, and like you get the feeling, and Midna even points out like it's like hot steam in her face, and it's getting more and more intense. If you guys were to stay in this vicinity, it would singe like your skin. What do you do?
They start running towards the other end of the pool.
Towards the opposite end of the pool?
Yes.
Okay, so you start going to the opposite end of the pool. You go past by the steam, and you can hear further up ahead there's like fighting going on in the sky, in the air. Like more of the bats fighting those dark mantles.
Interesting.
And they're fluttering about, and the steam isn't making him happy.
Okay. Is there anything on the ground? Anything, rocks or debris or anything?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I do have clear vision as to
You can't see these bats or dark mantles. They're fighting in the darkness.
Okay. They're fighting in the darkness. Okay. We can't aid with that. I've just lost my weapon. Midna, you're gonna have to carry the fight.
Carry the fight? What do you expect me to do?
How about I take the torch out of your hand, and then you can go ahead and approach them with the sword, as we've trained, as we've discussed.
I'll do my best. Let's see if they can stand up to us.
I can't believe I'm saying this for once, but have faith.
You've trained me well. I'll do my best. Let's see if these dark mantles can score some hits on the bats. And one of them does. For 2 more points of damage. You can see that that one bat is getting, you can hear it squealing and doing its best to try to avoid getting torn apart by whatever extra dark mantles are further within here.
Got it. Would I be able to improvise weapon a crowbar?
Sure, yeah, I'll let
Alright,
you do that, yeah.
Fair enough. Under what die?
I'll probably make it like a D2, a D3.
I'll take that.
Take a D3.
I'll take a D3.
D3 crowbar. So are you taking the torch or using this crowbar?
So why not both? I mean, both.
Sure, yeah. I always imagine you with the shield for some reason, but that's Midna who has a shield.
Yep, Midna has a shield. Yeah, I don't have a shield in my inventory, at least not yet.
Okay, yep. So as you guys are, heading towards the end of the pool, you can see that there's like a small little stairwell up, like a dais of sorts, like an upraised platform that has been overlooking this whole pool of water that's steaming all its way down. And in 5 rounds, it's gonna completely evaporate itself and probably fill this whole room up with hot steam as it's bubbling and bubbling its way down.
Okay, very good. So Midna goes ahead and, first, Arquria orders her to attack. And so she attacks with her bastard sword and does, 22 to hit.
22 strikes true.
Okay, very
As
good.
it's swinging through the air.
4.
For 4 damage, you
damage.
cut one of these dark mantles down. You can see that you're in a nest now of these sorts of things. There seems to be a bunch fluttering around, and it's like oil has just covered the dais, the platform. There's like implements up there, like you can't tell from what it is. It's completely covered in oil and everything. If you were to clear this nest out of the remaining dark mantles, you might be able to further investigate what is up here, given the rounds that you have left of steam filling in and the number of dark mantles that are in here.
How many dark mantles are there?
You see at least 3 flying around.
At least 3. Okay, very good. Linda, I think I see a fantastic opportunity.
So she's up there fighting. I'll take whatever you got. Just lead on.
All right, let's crowbar us a shade. That'll be 17.
All right, that hits.
Okay. And then D3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, 1 is 1, 2.
2 is 2, is 3, 4,
Yep.
and 3 is 5, 6. Okay.
3 damage.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, plus your mauler or whatever.
Yeah, that's
4 damage. Enough to take it down. You just spike right into it and bring one of these things down as these things fall to the ground. These things are not paying attention to you. They're trying to take out these other bats. Let's see if they can. Another one swoops out of the darkness. Ooh, 2 of them hit. And they claw one bat to the ground as it chitters down to the ground, and it just plops in the pool of oil that has just covered this table and thrown, and this bat is just seizuring as it's just being picked apart by these tentacle-like octopus shades that are just covered in this small hairy-like oil and just absorbing whatever life essence out of it as the last bat is just fluttering around trying its best to defend itself. What do you guys do?
And to keep hitting at the dark
steam's
mantles.
coming.
Okay. Let's keep going then. Oh, that's gonna be 6 or 7.
Nope, the things are fluttering around in the darkness. You can't quite strike it.
Okay, and then for me, let's go with the crowbar. Oh,
Not one. Does something bad happen? Yes, but
yes. The shade's attention turned to Midna and myself. However, in them departing the area and heading towards us, I can make I see a sword, an old sword hanging out in the ruins that I'm able to grab.
Nice, beautiful. Okay, cool. So there's a sword amongst the ruins, and you see that the attention has taken its turn onto Midna, who's up there fighting as your crowbar comes flying down. They're gonna swarm Midna.
Understood.
What's her armor class?
Her armor class is 17.
17. Okay, 1 hits for 2 damage as these things just fly all around her, swarming her with these horrible, dark, oily visages.
Okay. So would I be able to grab the sword and attack on the same round then?
No, you'll be able to get there and pick up the sword.
Okay. I will get.
Let's ask the Oracle. So 9,
Yeah.
no, but
Okay.
you get the sword and you're in position.
I'm good with that. Okay. So, yeah, I will make it to that position. Can I improvise hop the crowbar
So you're gonna pick up the sword and go back, and
and throw that crowbar? Do something.
so you won't be in position next time.
Oh.
Like you can go in
I see,
position,
I see,
you
I
can
see.
go pick up the sword and move back into position. No, you can't pick up the sword and attack in the same round. But you can put yourself in position to next time.
I'll do that then. I'll do that then.
So you're like next to Midna. You have this sword raised, and like you immediately pick it up, and you can see that the craftsmanship specifically has been designed for someone of smaller folk, but it is made out of like solid pieces of larger material. And there's pieces in it like missing elements, and you're thinking back to the pool of water. They look like a medallion could fit in there, or a sigil could fit in there, or a coin could fit in there, or a pendant could fit in there. It's like these recesses were made for this sword to fill with various components.
Sure thing. Midna should have her attack after that. So
Okay.
I was gonna say Arquria is gonna be very intrigued by this, but this is not the time to explore that. So
Yeah, you pick it up and you notice it has like a lightness to it, like these things are missing. It catches your eye. It doesn't affect how you attack with it, but you're like, what the? Like clearly there could be like counterweights put in here.
Interesting. All right. So Midna will go ahead and try to attack the shades that are attacking her.
Okay.
So. Okay, 22.
Yep, you see that lands true with your.
All right, that'll be 6.
Oh, this is Midna, yeah. And yeah, you cut one and it falls down to the ground. Let's see. Is this bat gonna stay around? His partner is dead. We're gonna make a morale check here. It's gonna be a wisdom check. It's +1, 15. So if it rolls a 14 or higher, it's gonna stick around. If it rolls lower than a 14, it's gonna fly away. 9 +1.
Ooh, that's important.
So this thing is, it hears the fall, the shrieks of its companion fall. It feels the presence of more of these dark mantles around. The steam is piling up, and it just flutters away into the darkness. For another day, perhaps. And these dark mantles, seeing and feeling the lack of an aerial assaultant, continues their attack. 2 of them left against Midna. 17?
Hits.
No, that's your armor class, right?
17,
Yeah, these
yes.
things do not hit. Wow, Midna is holding down the fort as a valiant knight underneath the tutelage of Arquria. And the steam is piling close. You can feel it starting to get hot.
How many rounds have it left?
3, you got 2 left.
Okay.
Everyone's gonna start taking a point of damage now, and it's gonna increase every round.
Interesting. Okay.
So everyone takes a point of damage.
Right now?
Yep. Ah, it's getting hot in here.
Hang in there. All right. We're almost there. Okay. I'm gonna assume it's that they found another longsword. 19.
Yeah, you picked up that longsword.
Okay. I know I said sword. I wasn't sure if.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I assumed it was a longsword.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, 19. That should do it. Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, roll for damage. This thing whizzes through the air with a unique sound.
Okay. 5.
5 damage. You cut through it, and the dark mantle. There's one left.
All right, Midna, come on. Now's your time to prove yourself. 17.
17 hits. Roll for damage.
5.
5 damage.
That'll do it.
You cut it. This thing flutters down to the ground as the steam starts filling up this half of it. And you can see that even the oil that is covered, everything is now just kind of like the liquid, the heat of the steam is making all of it like clear away, pile away, drip away from the table, the throne. There seems to be like a jeweler's loop, but these things are of like different sizes. Man, they look so huge, but there's ones that are for smaller creatures as well too.
Wait, what are there? Who?
A jeweler's loop. It's like one of those
Oh,
things
I
that you
see.
can like look up close in fine detail. And there's like, you know, small tools that seem to be to work different things. And you know, you can imagine it being like a jewelry making facility or some sort of like rune inscribing station.
Interesting. Is there a visible way out of the area?
Let's ask the oracle. And I'm actually gonna say I'm gonna put this at disadvantage
Okay.
because I think not. So no, but
Okay. So, no, there's not a visible way out of the area. However, there is cover that he can take
nice.
in a closet to at least, you know, shield themselves from the steam.
But the closet's only big for one person.
That's a second thought. I don't remember.
I'm calling my powers.
Okay. All right.
I have total control over everything here.
All right. I'll play your game. Well, obviously, here I am. I am literally playing your game.
Yes, you are.
Let's see here.
What's Arquria do? It's getting hot. I'm not even gonna tick the round just yet, but it's gonna be a D4 of worth of damage.
Remember, you didn't sign for this. You trusted me with your safety. In that recess over there. Take your place in the recess.
I couldn't.
Do it.
I will accept the order, but I refuse the intent. And she takes her shield and bastard sword, and she's doing her best, scouring through the oil and stuff. And there's just this small compartment of sorts that just enough space for her to hide herself in as the steam is just piling its way through.
Arquria takes the potion of the double mirror potion.
Okay.
Okay, so
5 rounds. As you take this,
5 or
it's double move for 5 rounds.
for 5 rounds.
And the steam, as you guzzle it, you take a point of damage from this hot steam.
Okay, so she's gonna book it towards the opposite end of the pool. So
Back to
where
the beginning.
Correct.
So you'll be going through this steam. It's kind of like a steam wall that's like coming towards you.
She knows.
Okay, you're going through it.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll a D10 damage
Do it.
as you are going through this horrible steam. 9 damage. What are you at?
I'm at 1.
You have 1 hit point as you through the steam, just burning, incinerating, melting your skin, burning it as she stands firm against the wall of steam that is just enveloped. I assume you have the torch as well too. Midna's in the dark.
She does.
And does the torch go out? I'm gonna give advantage on this one. Ooh, double 7s. No, but
No, the torch doesn't go out. But because of the diffusion of the light on the fog, the range of the torch is still limited. So she can still, so she sees
It
even
dims.
less.
It's it like dim. Yeah, bunkers down, dims down, recesses down as the steam is oppressing it. But just like your life, the flaming embers of this torch refuse to go out. And in the darkness of the night, you can see in this bath that is completely void as it completely clears out of the water, there is something inside of it. Something round, something shimmering that re-illuminates as your torch slowly gains back its life. What do you do?
This round object, this is in the pool? Or?
It's the empty pool, the bed.
I dive for this round
Yeah, there's no
object.
water.
Yep.
It's gone.
Well,
You dive.
I leap into the pool and grasp it. Reed, if ever you did live, now would be the time. Is this your guidance?
What does she find?
She finds a medallion in a bit of a piece. It has a spider web design, as if carefully carved in by the maker. And on the reverse, on the obverse, true power lies beneath the surface. True power lies beneath the surface. Does she thinks about the pool. She sees, is there anything even beneath the pool where she can hunker down as the steam rises?
The steam has passed at this point. You've managed to pass through the last 2 rounds as you ran through the last of it, taking that 9 points of damage, and you're heavily breathing within this pool, picking up this shimmering, shining medallion.
Does it appear to fit the sword?
Yes, it does. Amongst other ones.
There are, so are you
There's
saying,
like multiple recesses.
okay, this is the one she finds, and this would fit one of those.
Right.
Trying to catch her breath and taking a ragged, sharp breath as the steam has passed, she pulls out the weapon, and she very with trembling, shaking hands, takes it and snaps it into the blade of the sword.
Kink. And it fits like it hasn't been placed here for eternity, aeons, countless decades, centuries, millennia. The maker's intent and the maker's purpose of purifying these things and crafting these swords lost, but now finally by her hands she's managed to place it back in, and you get the satisfying feel of completion as it flushes against the hilt of the sword. And as you kink, the sword just seems to grow just a little bit, become a little bit sharper, become just like a little bit more wielding, able to be well wielded, like the ability to carry it just fits a little bit more in the palm of your hand. The power of this medallion flows through you as you can just feel like the webbing of an intricate story is unfolding, and you are caught within its web. You feel that, yes, there are other medallions that these creators have made. You get a vision of these one-eyed creatures, these giant cyclopses that once inhabited these areas, have imbued various aspects of these things scattered throughout the land. And here was one of their workshops within this area, which is now called Arventa, and imbued within your hands and you get these visions that you have the power to walk up these walls like a spider. You have the power to trap these flying creatures like flies within a giant web. You have the power to see within the deepest darkness of a cold heart. You have the power within you to be a spider, whatever that might be. Is that the medallion itself, or is this coming out of you now that you've taken the effort to go within these dark chambers? These are things that perhaps are to be further explored, and just as you have lost yourself within this, you know, Midna comes up, you know, Quri, you have lost all sense as you recognize Quri.
What?
He's knocking you out of it. What are you doing in there? I've been calling to you for the past, feels like 10 minutes.
Oh, hasn't been that long.
I've lost track. If it wasn't for this dwindling torch, you can see the torch, you know, still has its recessed lighting, I would have been lost in here. I managed to stave the steam, but I was more concerned about you. Look at you. You're sweating completely. She like wipes like your brow a little bit.
Thank you.
Let me help you out of this trough, this bath.
I appreciate that. Hey, I think we found something that is worth our while. Shows her the medallion, shows her the sword, shows her all of it.
I found some things in here too. She pulls out a big sack of gold. Seems like there's a couple things in here we could use as well too for beyond the goods. She just got like little trinkets and treasures and stuff like that.
Interesting. Well, half that's yours, you know.
Oh, it's for the mission.
To give you the glory.
To Geed the glory, but to us,
Spoils.
the spoils.
I like how you think.
Well, Geed tells us to have a good time, and the way our world's structured, you can't have a good time unless you got the glory, unless you have the goods. So there's a couple interesting things in here.
For the folks. 160 silver pieces, a handful of shark's teeth, a wooden comb, several clockwork gears, 1,500 copper pieces, 60
Electrum,
electrum,
which they're coins that you don't even recognize from the old country.
interesting, a sling and 10 bullets, several mushrooms. Interesting. Man, does anything look valuable to you? I know what I'd like to take home, of course, of any of the objects.
Just the sling?
Take it.
I've always been meaning to work on my range a bit, but I'll be stationed wherever you tell me to.
Take the sling with Geed's blessing.
Just mark it on her thing and here, yeah. So she can do a ranged attack if you want her to now. I know you've been training me in the bastard sword, and I'll do whatever I have to.
Versatility was always a warrior's good friend. I think would be behoove you to learn. Now, as for the funds for the temple, not really. How much would we be able to carry with this out of this monastery?
Me?
Out of character, I guess.
Oh yeah, right. That's a decision you're gonna have to make. So the first 100's free, and then every 100's a gear slot. And you could say a majority of this stuff is negligible,
Okay.
except the gears.
Except the gears.
They're going to be a slot each. It's up to you to determine if you want to take this stuff or not.
Oh, I'm not going to be taking the. I'm not going to be taking anything but the coin.
Just give me the coin.
So let's see. First 100 silver pieces. There we go. What's the Electrum worth? What's the conversion?
It's what is it? Oh, 5 Electrum make a gold.
5. Okay. Okay. So then 60 silver. Or 40 silver, 60 Electrum. And then, let's see, I figure that on top of that, just transport as many of these back, so, let's see. Okay. All that on my back.
You have managed to fit it all.
I managed to fit about 400 copper pieces worth, a grand total of 140 silver pieces, and then 60 electrum pieces. So.
Okay, yeah. So Midna can take the rest.
Oh, can she?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, fair enough. Then Midna takes the other 1,200 copper pieces.
Yeah. What's her strength?
Her strength
Plus 3,
is plus
yeah.
3. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So she's hauling. Besides her, her plates and her shields and her torches and whatnot.
Well, I was gonna say, Academy couldn't give me muscle, but the Gate has provided in the way of a friend.
I'm glad to serve you, and I never would have thought. Look at this place. I don't know what kind of things they were doing here, but it's been corrupted by these dark mantles, these oily squeakers, and this is right by our shrine. And if we have enough of, well, those under your training, perhaps we might be able to clear this out even further. We've done a good thing today, but maybe we can explore further if we care to. Perhaps there's more of those things in here, more of these coins, or what? Or maybe there's more bats and other flying things. But they've definitely taken over a lot of these complexes. You can see, yeah, from what the dwindling torchlight has shown you, there's quite the craftsmanship here, especially in this inner chamber.
I'm not sure about the spiritual relations of these dark mantles, but possibly this might be worth bringing up to lead priestess Kithri and seeing if there's a way that we can preserve our strength by fighting with spirit.
Let's see. Maybe we should haul out of here. I don't want to go any deeper tonight.
I think our take is good for the day, and I think we find ourselves in a better position than we were before.
This is truly amazing. I came in here thinking we wouldn't go any further than the main entrance, especially after encountering those large bats. Finding those the statues, just spoke of greater evils within or greater threats within. At least to me, I wouldn't want to face anything like that. If they're making statues of those things, then I dare not face them in the flesh.
I agree, and I think we're fortunate not to have met them today, but we very well may meet them in the future.
Well, if there's anything worth noting is that their craftsmanship and their detail is truly remarkable. And she's like getting a little bit closer to your sword. She dare not touch it, but she sees what you've done and how you've been handling it since you've gotten it.
Pressure fed. Here, have a shot. Hands it to her.
She doesn't take it.
Really?
Yeah, she it seems to have found its proper hands, and I have my hands full right now. You can see she's very reserved, despite your generous offer.
You're good company. If you ever consider joining the 214th, I'd be happy to take on the squire of squires, if you will.
Well, you've led a bunch of us, Quri, and that's worth noting. And I'm grateful to have you as a master. And if anything you showed me tonight is to push forward, despite my reservations, to find our tools and sharpen our wits.
I'll leave with you one more lesson before we go for tonight. And she says this as she gets to the entry where they met the bats. You always show a little bit of gratitude. Takes one more field ration out and leaves it, splits it the same way, even though she did see one of the bats pass away.
Mm-hmm. And the chamber is behind you as you step back out into the setting suns of Arventa. And before you know it, within several minutes, you find yourself back at the Shrine of Whispered Prayers, where there's a gathering of 214th members waiting to hear your report back on your duties of further securing the surrounding areas of the shrine.
Mistress Guthrie will be interested to see what we found, but I hope by now they've heard back from Galavan.
You keep mentioning him, and I don't think I've seen such a name around these parts. I remember hearing about his potential enlistment before we left, but I don't think it actually panned out. But, Quri, whatever you say.
No one knows the roles like I do.
Perhaps you'll have to point him out to me whenever he makes his appearance at the mess table.
You'll be the first to know.
And there within Arventa, you just find yourself splitting the goods and going through what remnants are left of your spoils of exploring the inner chamber of the surrounding ruins of Arventa. And the rest of the 214th welcome you back in and are glad to see and hear of your tales of bravery and valor, and seeing that, there's all these creatures even within the town, the city, the ruins of Arventa that could prove a threat despite gains in advancements of taking over the Citadel. So there are threats even around the corner despite you guys having a firmer hold over this place. And there are elements within Arventa that are slowly growing from the heart of its core, which has taken place at the docks and at this shrine and within some of the central houses. But you guys try to further a hold within Arventa, especially having taken over the Citadel, which the 214th has made claims to certain parts of it. And sure, that's a fable for another table. And this is where we'll end our adventure tonight, unless you'd like to pursue anything else in the last moments as Arquria and Midna spend a moment together in the shrine.
Not really any final actions, but just some closing thoughts. Still looking out there, still looking for Galavan, and as she's wont to do, she thinks about her time here and what this means for when she eventually gets back. What this means for the long list of credentials that she hopes to have when she leaves the 214th, and how the experience has been pleasant, and in some ways she'll be reluctant to leave, but she knows that she has something a little bit more her to be ready for when she comes home.
How is she feeling about her discovery?
About her discovery, she looks at it as a legend, a tale that she can't wait to tell to other peers around a campfire, on the campaign trail, wherever it takes her next, and how pleasantly surprised that she was able to find another marshal that was excited to take instruction from her and to learn something from her. Being surrounded by priests, that can be a little bit disheartening, seeing as the practice of war is not a very common thing to find in their midst. But she feels like she's found camaraderie with Ninda.
Midna's ready to stand by and protect the shrine, especially as word is bubbling about happenings outside of Arventa, further and beyond. Be that out in the desert, beyond the bones that were discussed in a recent information delivery, news update from people that have come back. They mention a city of glass further out in the central parts of the desert, and companions that you've heard about, both in terms of Herman and Ilarius and others, are making claim that they are furthering the reach of Arventa, and they are requesting perhaps the further aid of the 214th, especially as they have realized that their numbers are of varying size and in flux, as they seem to maybe be a little bit outnumbered at times and as things are developing. So perhaps Quri, leaving behind Midna, will join them on their new adventures out there.
It'll be a perfect opportunity, especially seeing as Herman and Ilarius were the last people that she remembers Gallivan being dispatched with.
And I'm sure they're gonna have some interesting things to tell her about that experience as well too. But that definitely is a fable for another table. Thanks for watching this chapter of our ongoing fable. Drop a like if you enjoyed the episode, and let us know in the comments which stories interest you most. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, and to stay connected, there are links to our Discord and socials in the description. We want to invite you to the next episode of Tables and Fables, and we'll be sure to save you a seat.